Are you shocked by this, Bo?
Okay, so I have a slight bit of Nick Wright in me and what I mean by that is this. Like being good at negotiating involves having the stomach to hold your position deep, 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 and knowing that it's ultimately going to be correct. You are willing to do that in the face of what can obviously seem like being wrong in an uncanny fashion that often pays off greatly, right? I'll jump off ship way before you do. You hold
Sure.
it down. I cannot jump off the SS Mayfield nor the SS Darnold in the fashion that I have been in completely. Here's what I say about Baker. I think that we mess up and we get too locked into the idea of everybody being a franchise quarterback and we ignore the value of a starting quarterback. I just watched a starting quarterback win the Super Bowl last year, for
Yep.
example. I think that Baker is upper echelon at this point of your starting quarterbacks, right? While also playing for a team that plays in a poor division. But he is throwing to people of whom I have never heard
Yeah.
right now. I would also, however, like to give some credit to those people of whom I have never heard because they're open. Like they are getting really excellent wide receiver play from dudes who I had never heard of. But if there's anything Baker Mayfield has ever been able to do, is to throw the ball on the money. And if you're giving him a bunch of dudes that are getting open, which is not everybody can do this. If the dudes are open, they ain't even got to be a lot open. If they're open, that's a dude that's going to get them the ball. And he is doing it and now playing with a confidence where he looks like college Baker Mayfield outside the pocket, making things happen. Like, yeah, this has been a lot. Like, he's on his way to the Brian Sipe, Burt Jones, Matt Ryan, Boomer Esiason. Hey, that guy won an MVP list.
Won an MVP, man. Won an MVP. And he's always had a crazy strong arm and been, as you mentioned, crazy accurate. He, at his worst, so many of his best non-throwing moments for the last 2 years look just like his worst non-throwing moments from early in his career, which is him seemingly overestimating his athleticism compared to the guy chasing him. And it felt like in Cleveland and certainly in Carolina, those ended in egregious sacks. And now for the last 2 years, they end in some of the sickest plays anyone has all year. Last year, when Nicky Bosa has him and they are basically both holding each other's jersey and he makes the fourth down throw. The 3rd and 14 in a 1-point game this weekend where he is wrapped up, escapes, and then somehow sidewinds his way to 14 yards. Listen, I think it is one of the coolest stories in NFL history if he continues this and pulls this off. I also think there is something to be learned because you're talking about guys getting open. And, he obviously has gone through 4 OCs in Tampa because his OC, everyone is so, maybe it stops now, but Baker playing well was so shocking to people.
got people
head coaching jobs. People are like, well, it can't be Baker. Dave Canales, you get a job. It can't be Baker. Liam Cohen, you get a job. So he's going through all of that. And I think there is an element, and tell me if you buy this, because this is where I really love talking about this sport specifically, because more than any other sport, I do think there is more to be learned from the guys who played it that can't be explained in the numbers or the data, more so than basketball or baseball to me by a lot, because it's so hard and it's so brutal that there is some of that, like, listen, running a run for 4 yards is better for your team than a pass for 4 yards. You just have to take my word for it. That type of stuff, I believe the guys. Like, I believe them. And I say all that to say this. There's an element of Baker that the way his teammates love him and the way he seems to be the true, and I know it sounds cliche, but guy, alpha leader, I think makes everyone better. And I actually think we are seeing something of the exact opposite in Miami, where I think from a personality standpoint and what the players on the team think about their quarterback, off the record, behind the scenes, in Tampa compared to Miami are diametrically opposed. And I think that has a real part of the reason why two teams that, yes, there is a talent gap between them, but it's not a 5-1 to 1-5 talent gap.
Right.
And Tua is supposed to, Baker has obviously different limitations than Tua, but they're both undersized quarterbacks with some limitations. But Baker's guys freaking love him. And it feels like Tua's team is kind of sick of him. And I think that shows up every Sunday. And so I think the Bucs get a real edge from it. And I think it's one of the reasons the Dolphins stink.
And it's interesting because, and look, we all like different things, right? But it feels like in real life, if you were to put those two guys next to each other, be like, which one of them do you think is more likable? The answer, it may not be Tua, but it really isn't Baker Mayfield, right?
Correct.
In the context of the football, and I wonder how it went for Baker when it wasn't going well. Because the question I always had about him is, chip on shoulder guy generally has this problem, which is you're proving everybody wrong, but what do you do when they start looking right? Like, what happens when you start thinking they're right? What's your next play? Yep. Like, do you have that if you're fueled by that? And he has managed to turn into this whole different, this better player than we even saw at the height of it in Cleveland. And you're right. The people are around him because there's a confidence to him that is magnetic, I think. And they know if there's a throw, he's going to make it. Like, the guys that hold the ball too long, that has to be demoralizing. I don't think that guys who play with Baker Mayfield are running down the field and then, if they're open, not getting the ball, right?
Correct.
There's got to be something for that. The thing with Tua, it does seem to be very clear. That press conference that he did, and I've heard you say this, and you're right, he needs to get out of the press conference business. He doesn't have that club in his bag. He's not good at it.
No.
But these cats don't seem to respect him. Like, when you're talking about you're having players-only meetings and they don't respect you, Mike McCoy, the interim coach now with the Titans, was talking about how going into that game, that got Callahan fired, and Jeffrey Simmons had said they had the worst week of practice, like all of these things. McCoy came out and said, yeah, there was something in practice. It may have been the whole practice, it was drills or whatever. But Jeffrey Simmons was like, hey, we're going to do that again. And then everybody went and they did it again. This is on an awful team, right? With really nothing to play for. And that dude said, no, we're going to do that again. And they did it again. Do you think that if Tua Tagovailoa told his team, we're going to do that again, that they would do it again? Because he can't even get them to come to no goddamn meetings.
Well, and I think part of that is because it's always everyone else's fault. Yeah. Like there is a stunning, some of the things he says after games that he plays terribly, you would blanch at if Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen said it in a game where they played great and a dropped pass turned into an interception. You'd still be like, man, kind of part of the deal with being the quarterback is when you're in front of the podium, it's always your fault. Like, that's one of the reasons you're kind of part of management and you get paid so much more is you got to eat it. Even it, like I'll use Mahomes as an example. Now, he was throwing to a future Hall of Famer and his best friend, but the interception against the Eagles that hit Travis Kelce in his hands for a touchdown. Patrick said, he's like, yeah, I threw it to a bad spot. Like, no, you didn't. Like, you're just, you didn't, but you're being a good guy. Tua's coming off a 3-interception game, and he's talking about things other guys need to do. And this is my kind of bigger picture, tricky Tua take, which is, I think there has been, understandably, from a human perspective, a kid glove treatment the last couple of years with criticism of Tua in the media, because all of us know, like, man, this guy's like literally putting his life on the line in a way. I know everybody is, but in a different way. He has dealt with such horrifying injuries that, to me, there's there's an element of, and again, I want to be careful with how I'm saying this, but where you, just like if Damar Hamlin got beat
Right.
for a touchdown, I don't know that he would be criticized the way, and it's totally understandable. It's like we've seen what the guy's been through. And it feels like Tua has coasted a bit on that. Like him going after Mike McDaniel, indirectly or directly, is so crazy to me. It's like, bro, Mike McDaniel is the reason you got that second contract. Like, we
Yes.
can talk about Mike McDaniel, the head coach, whatever it is. Mike McDaniel's offense and system is what led to you getting paid. And to not take accountability for your own poor play is really jarring and discomfiting to me.
Yeah, I think that is all fair. And I also think that for the Dolphins, right, who are in some ways kind of like 7 Up. They kind of like RC Cola. They kind of like what the Packers were in the 80s, which is somebody tell you, back when I was young, this was one of the most important franchises
Yeah.
in the NFL. I mean, Don Shula went to 4 Super Bowls
Yeah.
with
Went
this
to
team.
3 in a row.
Yeah, and they went to one with Danny Woodley in 1982. Like, this was a really, really important franchise who fired him, by the way, for going 9-7, and it ain't been the same since. Just throwing it out there. But they have fallen off so far, but those two are a bad combination as your quarterback and head coach, because people got to be afraid of somebody, right? Like, Flores was too much of a jerk being in charge of that team. McDaniel, perhaps not enough of a jerk, but somebody's got to be the somebody. So, like, when Tyreek Hill is acting up, somebody got to do something more than whine about it in a press conference. Somebody's got to be the one that carries enough weight to be like, hey, man, this stops now.
Right,
and neither of those guys seem to be the guy who can do it.
No. And I listen, I think Mike McDaniel is a really good case study in there is so much more to being a head coach than being a play caller.
Yeah.
And being, designing fancy offense. And by the way, I actually think Mike McDaniel could be a really good head coach again if he were, sorry to invoke the Chiefs here, but like if Andy Reid took a leave of absence and it's like, hey, we got to drop someone in for a season. I think if you have a team with a true leadership structure, a real culture, and real internal accountability, and Mike McDaniel can, most of his job is the fancy play calling offense stuff, I think that would work. But I don't think he is a guy who is going to be able, and I think we're seeing it, be able to command the room when things are going sideways on your squad. And so you do need, to your point, your co-leader, the quarterback of the team, to be someone people feel accountable to. And Tua clearly is not that.
Yeah.
Just flatly is not that.
Like, I appreciate that McDaniel is self-aware about, like, who he is. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Like, that ain't Ray Nitschke, right? Like you know who you're dealing with on that. But I remember early in him taking the job, it was an interesting interview he did where he was talking about motivating players. And he was like, the thing that I've come to learn in doing this job is that what these guys really want to know is that you're going to put them in a position to get paid, right? That you're going to put them in a position to take care, they want to take care of their families. They want to do these things. And if you can tell them that we're doing things that's going to get you paid, you will get them. And that is, I think, a great and important observation, right? Like, there's nothing tone deaf about it. There's no point being missed in that. But that is only part of this, right? Like, I really do think in the end, especially for that type of job, but there's something that's, it's a little bit primal, if we're being perfectly honest, you got to relate to them also in ways that are somewhat primal. Like, you talk to Dominique about Ray Lewis and like what kind of leader Ray Lewis is. Ray Lewis ain't out there like, everybody's going to get paid after the game. No. Ray Lewis got something different about him that makes you want to go where he goes.
Well, and so I hadn't thought about that point by McDaniel in a while. Did he say that with Ryan Clark? I remember. I
can't remember where.
I think it was on the pivot, but it doesn't matter. I guess it does matter, but the point stands. and I saw it when it happened, but I hadn't thought about it since then until you brought it up. I also wonder, is there a limitation to that for some guys? Because if and when they then do get paid, do they then kind of tune you out?
Right.
It's like, okay, job here's done. You know, some guys you would hope it's like, oh, he told me do this, I'll get paid. I got paid. That's my guy forever. Other guys, it might be like, okay, well, we'll check back in when the contract's coming up, but for the time being, I'm good here. And so, yeah, they're in a really bad, really bad spot. They probably shouldn't be as bad as their record is. And I don't know if they're gonna fire McDaniel. I mean, I can't imagine he'd be the coach there next year, but the fact that they didn't fire him this week makes me think maybe he survives the year. I don't know.
Let me tell you something. If they don't fire McDaniel, or maybe they wait till the end of the year to do it, but if somehow Mike McDaniel is the coach next year, I can't tell if that is a staggering indictment of Brian Flores or more fodder for his lawsuit.
Oh,
I can't because that would be incredibly telling that they were like, nah, we'll do another year of this.